the place for comic book and anime reviews.
Alright. Hello you guys, welcome back to Bradley Campbell 12 YouTube channel. Play for your comic book and anime reviews. Here's my review of Captain America Symbol of Truth Volume 2. So, I'd already done a review of the last volume of this, so check that video if you guys haven't already. This is continuing the Symbol of Truth storyline. That's also going on parallel with Sentinel of Liberty. So this issue begins off, and we get to this whole storyline with this senator who is putting up some very democratic, very liberal policies. She's very much liked by the people in this country. And well, this volume is called Pax Mohodana, which I believe is a fictional country. And that's what this story deals with. This story deals with Captain America kind of going to this fictional country and dealing with some political strife that's been going on here. So we have the story starting off with this senator who is very much liked, and a attack happens, and this senator ends up getting killed as a result of this attack, which I was very, very surprised by. Like, I did not expect this senator to get killed from this. Like, I was actually like graphically upset at that, because like you should have seen the way it happened. Like, you see this huge fight between Sam and the enemies, and it's like a big epic fight. It's like a lot of big action set pieces going on here, and he's trying to he's fighting Will Falcon. He dodges bullets, and there's this huge explosion that happens, and the senator doesn't make it through. And also what ends up happening is in this issue we end up losing Joaquin for a little bit, and Joaquin ends up getting transformed into this destructive creature while he's not with Sam. And throughout that, he is kind of in this more angry, very destructive form. He is very much blaming Sam for what has happened, which I thought was kind of interesting, because he blames Sam for not being there for him when it's time of need. So throughout the issue, we end up getting Ian Rogers, who Sam ends up teaming up with throughout a lot of this book. We get him and Ian Rogers kind of doing this team tag fight to kind of go into this fictional country and deal with the strife that has been going on there without Falcon. And throughout the book, Sam is very much missing Falcon. He's very much missing his partner Joaquin. But Joaquin's in the hospital right now, so there isn't really anything that Sam can do as a result. So we get this huge, crazy transformation from Joaquin. Very monstrous, very like horrific, and he screams. He doesn't end up killing anybody when he does his transformation, which I thought was a very interesting choice. That way we don't get the whole after happening. I killed so many people after this transformation ultimately stopped. We don't get that whole thing. But throughout, he does play it up as if he did. And there's actually just one scene in the book later on where he kind of missed it, like he killed his grandmother. And I thought that was interesting, especially being at the very end of the book, we found out he did not. So it definitely seemed to be messing with his brain. It definitely seems to be making him more aggressive, more angry, more upset. A lot of his internal things that he wants to do are definitely coming to the surface while he's fighting Sam. It's definitely very interesting, but how should I say? It's very interesting, but I don't think it fully works because of the fact that like none of the stuff actually ends up happening, and also because of the fact that like this is clearly not Joaquin. This is very much like he has a lot of aggressions, but you never get a sense that this is who he really is, this is what his true feelings are throughout the book, which I think kind of diminishes everything that happened beforehand as a result. It makes the impact not as strong as a result. But it is really cool. It is some really cool imagery and some really cool art. So in that way, it is kind of fun. We get, as this book kind of goes on, who the main enemy is, which is White Wolf. So White Wolf has been the one kind of orchestrating all this, who's been pulling the strings, who's been forcing these events to transpire, which I know is a big part of this book, which is why it's going to go into the Cold War storyline where they're going to be, I guess, facing off with White Wolf. But in the end of this book, we get this huge moment between Sam and White Wolf, where basically Sam wants to kill White Wolf at this point. Like, he's so angry at him for everything that he does that he's ready to take this man and he's ready to end this man's life as vengeance for what he has done. He even said to Joaquin, like, I'm going to kill this man. He hurt Joaquin. Here's Ian Rogers, not Joaquin. I'm going to kill this man because of everything that he's put me through. He has made all these Wakandan students who did nothing wrong, by the way, like, they have no recourse anymore. They have no place to go. They're basically homeless now. And we actually get one of those storylines in this where we get a character from the Rick Remender run of Captain America, which this book very much plays into. It plays into a lot of the stuff that was in the Rick Remender run, but kind of taking it, twisting it a little bit to make it for a more of a political storyline. And we get one of the characters from that run kind of come back, who was like an antagonist. And, you know, she's angry and upset because of the whole ordeal that went on with Wakanda, that Sam Wilson acts in Wakanda ended up making it where, like, all these people, including her, weren't able to seek asylum or refugee status in Wakanda like they had wanted to. And a lot of that blame is put onto Sam Wilson throughout this book, which I thought was very interesting. So anyway, we get this big fight between Sam Wilson and White Wolf. It is a gorgeous looking fight. It is a battle for the ages, flames going on throughout, gorgeous artwork. Just look at these pages. These pages, they are well done. They look nice. I really enjoyed them. Of course, in order to stop Sam from actually killing White Wolf, but he does manage to defeat him, take him out of the game for at least now. And, you know, him not killing him might come back to haunt him later on in the Cold War, since, well, we still have the whole Cold War event that's happening. So maybe as a result of not killing him, you know, more events start transpiring. But he does defeat him at the end of the day, so he still wins the day. Sam Wilson still manages to defeat White Wolf, and, you know, that's kind of where this story kind of wraps itself up, and we'll see what happens going forward into the Cold War events. So that's pretty much what's on Sam Wilson, Captain America, Symbol of Truth. Let me read on this new volume of Captain America. I think it's very interesting. I think there's a lot of stuff going on here. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.